ESPN senior national correspondent Sal Paolantonio, set to join me right now for another season of Sal Pal Fridays right here on the Sports Bash with me, Mike Gill, here on 97.3 ESPN. And let's bring him in. The ESPN senior national correspondent Sal Pal is back for another season of Sal Pal Fridays, thanks to our man Johnny G and the Burger Realty team in Ocean City. Right there, Sal Pal?
Oh, yeah, right on. Thanks to Johnny G and the Burger Realty Group and the Griner team there. They do a great job. Love them. Love going to Ocean City, too. It's one of my favorite places. And all. I travel all over the country, but biking on the boardwalk, hanging out on the beach, going to Uncle Bill's, nothing better.
Nothing better, except for football season being back, right? And we got the Eagles and Falcons. We saw the good one last night, and obviously I want to get your take on, in the NFC East, everybody kind of thinks it's up for grabs, but did we look at that Dallas team differently after watching them last night against the world champs?
Well, I think it changed the conversation a little bit. I think Eagles fans probably don't want to hear this, but, I thought it was a very courageous performance by Dak Prescott, and he answered a lot of questions, and that changes the conversation, certainly, about whether this Dallas team can compete for a division title. There were a lot of unknowns going into the game about Prescott, and he was tough. He was smart. There were a couple of balls that floated a little short, but for the most part, he answered the bell, and you got to give him credit. The guy was asked to drop back 60 times a football game, and that they have a lot of options on offense. Now, if they had run the ball just a little bit more and took some time off the clock during the game, maybe the outcome would have been different.
Now, you have talked to Tom Brady multiple times through your illustrious career. He is now 44 years old. Last night, he dropped back 50 times, 379 yards, 4 touchdowns. Even knowing that you've had multiple times in conversations with this guy, do you marvel at what you're seeing from a guy at 44 years of age?
How can you not, Mike? The thing about it last night, if you want to really go into the weeds and take it to the next level, I saw it well over 24 times going back through the game where he changed the play at the line of scrimmage. Now, they had a lot of passing plays, so you have to surmise that he changed out of a lot of run plays. And they didn't run the ball very much last night, too. So, he was probably setting protection, looking what Dallas was doing. Everybody, both sides were blitzing like crazy last night. I mean, Todd Bowles was blitzing. Dan Quinn was blitzing. The name of the game in the NFL these days is get after the quarterback. And that's one of the things that the Eagles have to be really concerned about on Sunday, because they got a veteran defensive coordinator there in Atlanta, and that's Dean Pease. And Dean Pease is pretty good at disguising blitzes and pretty determined to get to the quarterback and confuse the quarterback.
All right, with that, let's start with the Eagles and the Falcons. By the way, Atlanta's a favorite by 3.5 in the game. The FPI over at ESPN has the Falcons' chance to win this 63%. So most people like the Falcons in this game. But you just mentioned Dean Pease and that defense. The one area where the Eagles have to feel pretty good, Sal, is they got their 5 guys on the offensive line that they wanted to. Nick Sirianni said today Brandon Brooks will play. So the 5 starters, unless something crazy happens between now and Sunday, they will get the 5 guys on the offensive line they wanted, something they could not do last season.
And that's a big advantage for them, because the right side of their offensive line is experienced and tough and smart, and that's going to help Jalen Hurts. The left side of their offensive line is young and tough and smart, and that's going to help Jalen Hurts. But this is not a game of pass protection. This is a game of an offensive approach that has 3 main components. One, they have speed and youth on offense, and they need to utilize it in this game, because they're going to run into situations where they won't know what they're looking at, because Dean Pease is such a smart and experienced defensive coordinator. So they need to use their speed and their deception. And that, too, they need to have balance on offense. They didn't have much balance in the preseason. But based on, all indications, Sirianni's history in Indianapolis, the fact that he wore Miles Sanders' shirt to a practice at Lincoln Financial Field The fact that, they went out and drafted a young running back, this all tells me that they're going to have a balanced approach on offense. Now, I realize it's Sirianni's first go-around with this unit and with this quarterback, and it's his first NFL game as a head coach where he's going to be calling the plays. This is a pretty big deal for him, and hopefully the game won't get away from him and he will stick to what he wants to do.
Yep, the Miles Sanders. I'm very intrigued, Sal, in how he uses Sanders, but almost more how he utilizes the Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert tandem. That's his old faithful, or if you're a rookie coach, you could either do one of two things. Go with what you know, Ertz and Goddard, steady Eddie, or say, I'm going to rip the playbook out and go with these young guys and see what they show me in week number 1. So what's the best way to go? Go with Old Faithful or go with the young guys?
Well, I think it's up to Jalen. I think it's up to Jalen Hurts. I mean, to me, you'll have certain designs in place, but Jalen's got to get his first read, get the ball out. He's got to look at those receivers or tight ends and is Rieger open? Is Smith open? Is Ertz in the right? Is Ertz winning his matchup? I mean, to me, and is Sanders the guy who you eventually get as a safety valve? They have a lot of potential, and I use that word specifically. They have a lot of potential options on offense, but it depends on a lot of things. Hurts has got to stand in there, not just one read and run. He's got to get to his second read, and he's got to pick a guy that he's going to lean on or distribute the football. These are all decisions that will be made in the crosshairs where the Falcons are trying to get at him.
Is that a story for you, the Ertz Goddard, who gets more snaps, who gets more targets, or is that just the flow of a game, or is there one over the other? How do you read that?
Yeah, I think it's a flow of the game, Michael. I do. I think it's the flow of the game. I think it's all about down and distance, scored the game, how's the defense doing. But as I explained on my Instagram account this morning, and I taped something from NFL Films, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that the fact that he's got rested, experienced guys on the offensive and defensive lines where they could win on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And that's, to me, the number one key to their victory. And the number two is Jalen Hurts. If he does not turn the ball over, or at least as much as Carson did, if he does not take the number of sacks, at least as much as Carson did, or by half, he doesn't have to be Superman. He doesn't have to do it all. All he has to do is better than Wentz last year. They have enough around him to beat this Falcons team. And then three, again, going just sort of like a little inside baseball here, I think that Arthur Smith and the way he approaches offense in small ball, which he did in Tennessee, plays right into the hands of Jonathan Gannon, the new defensive coordinator. And everything about his defense is bend, don't break. Let's do everything we can not to give up the big play and make sure we keep the play in front of us to give our defense a chance to win, get off the field, and give our offense a chance to have better field position.
Sal Paolantonio, don't forget the matchup show is this weekend. I'll get you the times on that in just a second. But you brought up something. Arthur Smith, he had Derrick Henry. He doesn't have that here. And one area that I like Philly in this game, Sal, their defensive line against this Atlanta offensive front, which is kind of average.
Yeah, it is kind of average. And it's not about having Derrick Henry necessarily, although Henry is a great talent. It was Arthur Smith's design and approach, going heavy, going 12 personnel. In other words, I hate to use those terms, but 2 tight ends on the field, going an extra back. They played a lot with fullbacks on the field last year in Tennessee. They are, back to the future kind of a running team in Tennessee. They won't be this year. Because the new offensive coordinator is nothing like Arthur Smith. I think they're going to be much more wide open, where they have more 3 and 4 wide receivers on the field in Tennessee now that they have Julio Jones. I think they'll be definitely more wide open. But I think Atlanta is going to rely more on a heavy approach and a heavy run game and play action off of it, because that was the calling card. Tennessee had more play action pass than anybody else last year with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, and that's exactly what will help Jonathan Gannon, because Gannon is not going to do a whole lot of tricky stuff or wide nine stuff or stuff that puts his defensive players at too much risk or in jeopardy. He's going to keep the play in front of him, and that's exactly what this offense will play into.
Sal Pal, by the way, the debut of the matchup show Saturday, 8:30 on ESPN2, and the encore airings on Sunday at 4 a.m., 6:30 a.m. on the mothership. So all of you fans of the matchup show, Sal Pal will be covering, by the way, this weekend. It looks like you are in in Buffalo for Pittsburgh and Buffalo. So that will be the one that you get to see. I wanted to be in
Atlanta, but it just didn't merit. I mean, that Pittsburgh-Buffalo game is a huge 1 o'clock matchup for us.
Very big. This is a good week 1 schedule. There's a lot of goodies this week.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's terrific. And Greg Cosell and Matt Bowen and I just finished taping the show at NFL Films. We got some new wrinkles in the show. And we got a new mandate, Mike Gill. We just got a 10-year extension between NFL and ESPN until 2034 to have the matchup show on the air, guaranteed. They call me Grandpa Sal. By the time that thing expires, I'll be Great Grandpa Sal.
Yeah. Did you get a 10-year deal with that deal is what we'd like to know, right?
That is not correct. I did not get that 10-year deal.
All right. This is obviously, and I saw your Instagram today, at Sal Pal ESPN on Instagram, to get his instant, analysis. And you said, I don't agree with the ESPN computers. They have the Eagles starting off 0-5. And you said, I don't agree with them. Why's that?
Well, Michael, I was kind of surprised by that. I really love what Seth Walder does. He is and anybody who follows him knows on Twitter, he does a tremendous job in projections and his analytics. He's really terrific. I think he and Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com and NFL Network are two of the best in the business. And Seth put out this thing where he did a bunch of mock projections of how the 2021 season will go, and he picked one that was sort of the consensus, and it had the Eagles starting 0-5. And I looked at it and I was like, geez, I don't agree with that. And that's not because I cover the team or live here or whatnot. I know a lot of Eagles fans, but I just think that they will be extremely competitive in the next 2 games, in this game and San Francisco. I mean, everybody's picking San Francisco to go to the playoffs automatically. I said a lot of prognosticators have them in the NFC Championship game. I just don't see that. That's a lot of what ifs for San Francisco. So I think they'll be very, very competitive in the next 2 games. Geez, it's only a 3.5-point spread on Sunday in Atlanta, and I have the Eagles winning this game 24-16. I think they'll have enough defense to keep the Falcons under 20 points.
24-16, said Sal. We'll get your keys to the game in a second, but I want to ask you this. You were very famously texted Doug Peterson on game day. If you were sending a text to Nick Sirianni for his first game, what's the question you would be asking him?
That's a great one. I would definitely ask him, what are your final instructions or talking points to Jalen Hurts? And I'm sure he would say something to me like, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to win the game by yourself. You have a lot of people around you. You have a very experienced offensive line. You have a lot of playmakers. Be a point guard. Be Jason Kidd. You can be a little Magic Johnson where you occasionally, go for it and make a big play. But be a point guard and distribute the football. And secondly, when in doubt, get rid of it. Don't take that sack. Don't get that interception. Don't take that fumble. The last thing we need from our quarterback is turning the ball over.
All right, Sal, the keys to this Sunday's game, Philadelphia, Atlanta. Sal Pal's keys are?
Get to Matt Ryan. Get him off his spot. And the way to do that is Fletcher Cox and the boys right up the A-gap. It's an average offensive line. You should be able to get pressure. You should be able to take the football away. And number 2, Don't turn the ball over from the quarterback position behind the line of scrimmage. That's the absolute no-no. Protect that football. And number 3, don't let the big play get past you. So if you do attack and you do blitz, they have some speedsters on that offense. Don't let them get behind you and let Matty Ice get a big bomb somewhere. And he's done that before. We've seen him do that against the Eagles before, late in the game, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the fact that I'm interested, here's one of the things I'm watching too. Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts. We haven't seen Pitts at all in the preseason. I think he played 1 snap. How do they use him, and how does Philadelphia follow him around? What do they do with them? And what do they do with Ridley? Is Jonathan Gannon going to use Slay all over the field, or is he just going to say, you're on that side of the field?
Yep. They got to take that bubble wrap off of Kyle Pitts. That's going to be a big coming out party for sure, 100%. That's something we talk about on the matchup show.
And that matchup show is Saturday at 8:30 ESPN2 with the encore airings at 4 a.m. and 6:30 on ESPN. Sal Paolantonio and the crew getting you ready for the NFL matchup show and getting you ready for the Eagles and Falcons right here on the Sports Bash on a Sal Pal Friday. And that's all thanks to our buddy Johnny G and the burger team over in Ocean City who deliver us Sal Pal here on a Friday. Now, I saw that, by the way, Johnny G, 33 years, I think, in service over there. So great job to him in the job that he's done. But I saw that you guys got a chance. You get down here and see Johnny G this summer?
I did. And we had a chance to visit with one another. And, I just thanked him for his support, not only for the Sports Bash, Mike Gill, for my appearances on the show, but, his support of just, Eagles fans in South Jersey who now get to hear this conversation and analysis that we're having every Friday at 3 p.m. So it's a nice thing that he's doing, and he's a real nice guy.
All right, Sal. Well, next Friday we'll be back for Eagles and 49ers. You have the Eagles beating the Falcons 24-16 on the first edition of Sal Pal Friday. All right, enjoy. I was just in Buffalo. I saw Niagara Falls. What a great place.
Oh, gosh. It's supposed to be a beautiful Sunday for football in Western New York. Football's back. Tackle football on Sunday. Can't beat it.
Sal, we'll talk to you next Friday, my friend.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, Sal Paolantonio here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app.